Hello and welcome to a new episode on Sadhana World Foundation. As you know, we care about crafting young lives. We present stories from our folk tales and lessons in history, which are moral values. We think that these stories contain tremendous amount of teachings for our young children and young adults, which can help them become stronger and better human beings. Today, we have picked up a story which is about good deeds, making the choice in favor of what's right. This is a story from the Buddhist time, folktale. Once upon a time, there was a person who visited Buddha and he was very sad. He told Buddha that he has lost his father and he had come to invite Buddha to perform certain rituals which will help his dead father enter into the proverbial heaven. Buddha listened to him and said, "You get two earthen pots, fill one pot with butter, the other pot with pebbles, and bring them to me. I will perform the rituals that you are looking for." So the young man did as was instructed. Buddha asked him to go to the nearby pond and put those two earthen pots in the water in that pond. And the two earthen pots naturally sunk to the bottom of the pond. Buddha then asked him to go inside the pond and break those two earthen pots. So he did exactly that. And no sooner did he do that, he saw the butter floated up to the surface of water, and the pebbles which were there in the other pot, they all sank to the bottom of the pond. Buddha said that the ritual has been performed. If you want your father to go to the proverbial heaven, then call all the priests that you know and ask them to float the pebbles up to the surface of water and sink the butter which is floating on the surface of water to sink down to the bottom of the pot. The man got angry. He said, "How is it possible? This is the law of nature. The pebbles are heavy and they fall down, they sink to the bottom of the pond. Everybody knows it, and butter is lighter than water and it floats. How can this nature, the natural law that all of us know, be changed by any priest?" Then Buddha said, "Young man, you have understood the law of the nature. Then why are you worried about your father's soul going into the heaven? Whatever your father has done, if he has done well, he is floating in the surface of water, he is lighter, he has gone to the heaven. If he has not done good deeds in his life, he has sunk to the bottom of this pond like the pebbles. So if you want to do well in life, then do the right deeds. You know what are right, what are the wrong deeds. So if you perform more and more of wrong deeds, you will sink to the bottom of the pond. If you do good deeds, the good karmas, then you float. You are liberated, you are lighter, you are happier." That is the Buddhist story. Beautiful story, isn't it? If we can just remember this in our lives, it will be so wonderful that when we choose whether to do something or not to do, then you decide whether you want to become like the pebbles or like the butter. Again, another story from the Mahabharata. In fact, as I was thinking about various episodes or stories described in the folk tales or the epic of Mahabharata, I see repeatedly, this point is being illustrated through small stories. If you do the right things in life, you do well, you are celebrated, you are successful. If you don't do the right things, you might end up getting some successes in the short run, but not in the long run. Let me describe just one or two of them. You see, Mahabharata started when there was a king, Shantanu, who had fallen in love with the river Ganga. He saw a beautiful lady in the banks of the river Ganga. He fell in love with Ganga and he married Ganga. But Ganga had one condition, that whatever she wishes to do, Shantanu will not ask a question. So they lived happily. However, whenever children were born, one after the other, the queen will take the children and will drown them in the river Ganga. Shantanu was feeling extremely sad about it. One after the other, one after the other. The seventh child also was drowned by the queen. When the eighth child was born, Shantanu could not control his anger and asked the queen why she is killing all the children. Then Ganga reminded King Shantanu about the condition that she had made while marrying Shantanu. And then, of course, Queen vanished into the river Ganga and left behind the eighth child with King Shantanu. The child grew to be an extremely capable, wise, and intelligent person. He happened to receive the best of education and training available at that point in time. Everybody knew that he is going to succeed Shantanu. So he grew to be a fine young person, Devabrata. And by the turn of time, again Shantanu falls in love with a fisherwoman found in the banks of river Ganga. Her name was Satyavati. Her father came to know about it, and King Shantanu asked for her hand from her father in marriage. But her father, out of again the blind love for his daughter, made a pact, made a bargain, held a negotiation with King Shantanu that the children which will come out of the union between his daughter and the king will become the king, will become the successor to King Shantanu. But King Shantanu was heartbroken because everybody in the kingdom knew that Devabrata was so capable and is known to be the successor. He is, of course, the eldest son. Devabrata came to know about it and he made the supreme sacrifice. He made a vow that he would not marry, he would not have any grandchildren, he would not stake his claim to the throne. And then King Shantanu married Satyavati, they had children, but again karma kicks in. The two children that King Shantanu and Satyavati had, both of them died childless. Satyavati started ruling the kingdom because Shantanu also passed away. But Bhishma kept his promise. He had his good deed. He just acted as a caretaker, as a manager. Again, time passed and various things took place, and finally, Satyavati could organize someone to come in. That someone was Satyavati's child from an earlier marriage. And that person helped the two daughters-in-law that Satyavati had to have children. So who were the children? They were Dhritarashtra and Pandu. Again, karma kicks in. So now Dhritarashtra is the third generation. Dhritarashtra was blind, and out of his blind love for his son, he wanted his son to be the king. While Pandu's son Yudhishthir was supposed to be the king, the successor to the throne. You see, the father of Satyavati who out of blind love made a pact to stake claim his heirs to be the king did not happen. Same way, Dhritarashtra, who wanted his son to become the successor, didn't become the king. So karma kicks in every time. It takes time. It took 3 generations to prove to the people like us who are hearing this folk tale or mythological story or the epic to understand sometimes it takes a long period of time for the effect of karma to be visible. However, karma works. So good deeds all the time work. So we as human beings need to decide what's right and what's wrong. We may not find the outcome of choosing the good deed in the short run. However, results are always good. Like Vishma is considered for all the good deeds that he has done, much respected, well regarded, and an icon, while Dhritarashtra or Satyavati's father are being known for being expressive or being egoistic about the blind love that they had for their children. They, as the elders, did not take the side of someone who was capable, who was more deserving, who was, as per the norms of that time, supposed to be the king. Ladies and gentlemen, intense teaching here in our folk tales, similarly in the Buddhist story. Always we need to decide whether we want to become like the pebbles and sink to the pond, sink to the bottom of the pond, or we want to become like the butter which floats. Thank you very much for listening to this wonderful story and inculcating these teachings into our lives. Thank you.